welcome back to another episode in this Hartech engined 996 series. This is going to be the first in a series of 3 videos going over some changes I've made to the interior of the 996, and those changes are going to be centered around the seats first of all, but also the center console, the trans tunnel, and in-car entertainment. All of this is a kind of a bit of a known weak point in the 996. It's known for having in 911 terms a fairly low rent interior, and I think it's about time that we address that, but in our own way, hopefully doing something a little bit different to what you've seen before. This first episode we're going to do some work to the seats, because I think it's even been commented on a few times in some of the previous videos that it's particularly my driver's seats in quite, I mean, it's not that bad, I didn't think, but it was heavily patinaed, let's say, with the leather. This episode is going to focus on how you can restore your existing seats in your 996 to make them look brand new. So that's the aim anyway. Episode 2 will look at the in-car entertainment and the trans tunnel and the center console, and look at what we can do with that to kind of smarten things up a bit. And then episode 3 there'll be a little bit of a surprise and some other bits and bobs and the kind of grand reveal. Okay, so that's what you can expect from this little mini series of 3 episodes. So seat restoration then. So what you're going to need to do this the way I did it is the Furniture Clinic Recolor kit. I got the large, which I think is enough to do 2 car interiors, because I'm going to do quite a lot of stuff with it. But yes, available in different sizes. You want the optional leather repair add-on. That is pretty crucial. You're going to want to do the colour matching service as well, which is why my back seat now has a hole cut out there, because that's where I pinched the leather from to send into Furniture Clinic, so they could match some Metropole blue. You're going to want a leather cleaner as well, because the leather recolor kit doesn't come with a cleaner, and the first step really for this process is making sure your seats are as clean as possible. You're going to need some masking tape, you're going to need a compressor, but you should use a kind of a small hobby compressor, for airbrushing like models and things like that. But you can also use a big one if you've got the right adapters and things. And you're going to need a heat gun as well. Having a heat gun essentially means that if you really wanted to, you could get this whole process done in a weekend. If you didn't have a heat gun, you'd have to wait for everything to air dry. So once you've got all that stuff, the next step is obviously to get the seats out of the car, thoroughly clean the seats, get all the dirt and grime off, so get in all the crevices and all that kind of stuff. And then you mask up all the plastic stuff. You could take the seats apart. I find it easier just to mask the bits off you don't want to mess with, and just leave the leather on the seat and mask around it. And then you're ready to start. So let's have a look at what is involved in this process. Okay, so the first step is leather prep. This will essentially sort of emulsify the top coat on the leather, the sealer coats, so that you can just wipe it off basically. But you do have to sort of agitate it with this. So this is essentially a scuff pad. Obviously all this stuff comes in the kit. You put your cotton wool buds in there, you soak them in this, and then you get to it. So let's do that now. Over the whole driver's seat with the prep. And now we're on to the second stage, which is an alcohol cleaner. So at this point, all we're really doing is it's just like a final clean. It's just going to remove anything that's left on the surface of the leather that the prep doesn't handle. So it's not as aggressive as the first step. We don't have to use the scourer for this. We're just using a cloth that's supplied in the kit for this. So let's get cracking with that. Stage is done. We've left the seats for a good hour or so to sort of dry off any product or whatever. You can see these cracks here, so they'll need filling. Some creasing there, we may want to do something about that. A little bit more cracking down here, and here as well. But overall it's not too bad actually. But let's have a look at the Furniture Clinic repair kit, and I'll just explain what you get in that. Now there's a few things that we definitely won't be needing to use here. So you get a little repair patch here, and some glue. So that's, yeah, if you've got a hole, you can kind of patch a hole, and then you can kind of build up layers over the top of this and, you know, sort out any holes. But we haven't got any holes, so we're not going to use that. But then we're on to like here the stuff that we are going to use. So there's some fine sandpaper here. There's definitely some loose bits there that could come off, and we don't want that. So we're going to attack this with some sandpaper first. And we've then got like three separate products here. So you've got this leather binder. So this is like think of this as like a really thin filler. I mean, it's liquid. So this is good for like sealing any like really fine cracks, and providing a stable surface for us to apply colour. Then we've got our leather flex fill. So we're going to use this on the deeper cracks and creases. And then we've got our heavy filler. Oh, and you also get like a spatula as well. So this is used to apply the product. Yeah, let's get started. So we've got a nice clean surface again. So now what we want to do is apply this binder. The binder, hopefully after a few coats, will start to seal some of the smaller cracks with any luck. So let's just apply this to the cracked areas. Okay, so we're going to need several coats of this. So to kind of speed up the drying process, we're just going to dry this with a heat gun and then carry on. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're building up these layers now. So I've done 2 coats and I've flattened it back. I'll do another 2, flatten it back, and then another 2 and flatten it back. And then we should have all of those kind of tiny little hairline cracks sealed. Any cracks that remain after that are probably in need of this flex fill. So I think I ended up doing 2 coats of flex fill and 2 coats of heavy filler. Now you can see where I've gone heavy filler because it's the kind of white bits, so that doesn't dry clear like the flex fill. So again, the idea here is to not completely fill in every crack and have a completely smooth surface. So some of these are filled completely, some of them are filled partially, and some of them I have just left alone. So there'll be a little bit of a mix, but it hopefully should give the appearance of natural leather. That's the goal anyway. So I think the next stage from here, there's been a lot of sanding and stuff like that. So there's quite a lot of sort of dirt on these seats again now. So let's get these cleaned up and then we'll move on to the colour stage. So I just gave the seat a clean and blew out the crevices with air gun. Nice and simple this bit. Sponge you get in the kit, blue dye, Metropole blue. You can't be concerned at this point about it looking nice or even coat or anything like that. It's just kind of just get some colour on the whole thing. So again, yeah, nice and simple. Make sure the colour's shaken really well. I'm going to go in the crevices first, just because that's harder to do later. Now this stuff is water-based and non-toxic, but you should probably still wear gloves. So the first base coat you want to press quite hard into the leather. Second base coat you don't do that. So, base coat number 2, essentially exactly the same thing, only difference is you don't rub as hard. If you were to like rub really hard with a second coat, you'd just take off the first one. it's spray time. So this is our airbrush. I'll need to put the dye, or the colour I should say, in there, screw it onto there. This is then connected to my massively overpowered compressor for this job. You should really use a small kind of hobby compressor for this, but to be honest this works just as well, and this is what I've got. So yeah, it is what it is. This airbrush comes with the kit from Furniture Clinic. It did also come with this adapter, I'm sure, this plastic adapter here. So I've been able to screw that to the adapter, and then the other bit is just something I got with this compressor. So it's kind of, yeah, everything you need. A couple of things to be aware of: you can adjust the flow rate with this here. So yeah, the higher up this thing is, the more product you're going to get out. We have to test our spray pattern before we start. We do need another rag to hand, because if this starts to spit, which could happen, you need a rag just to sort of dab where the spit is. Don't rub, because that'll mess up the finish. So make sure you've got that to hand as well. But apart from that, that's it really. So I've got the windows open in here just to get some airflow. It's non-toxic, it's water-based, so you don't have to worry too much. But I'll put my filtration mask on as well. If you don't have a compressor, you do get this instead. It's compressed air in a can. Even in the instructions it says it can be annoying to use this, so it's best to use a compressor. Second coat of spray colour applied. That's the final coat of colour, and as you can see, it's already looking pretty good. So that was the kind of really cracked up area there. That looks pretty good to me. There was a pretty tired bolster here. Again, that looks pretty good to me. This bit down here, you can still see some creasing there, but you know, that was the idea really, to not make that look too perfect, so that's okay as well. But there's 5 more layers of spraying, or 5 more rounds of spraying to do, which is the sealer coats. So we'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, look at this. If I step back, I mean, that's looking pretty good. That was a pretty tired seat. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Especially since we've got, you know, the passenger seat here, which will be fully matching, of course, because that has been, you know, flattened back, recoloured, and they will be resealed tomorrow as well. So yeah, now it's time to put the sealer coats on. Now I'm going to do 5 coats. So the way that I do it, you've got the gloss and the matte finisher. The gloss is supposed to be stronger than the matte. So as a first coat, first 2 coats, I'll just put gloss on there, and I'll add this. I'll do this for all the finisher coats, but you add this cross-linker in there as well, and that just helps to make this, like, you know, really strong, really durable finish. I'm going to do 2 coats of this. You put this in, it's 1 part of this to 8 parts of this. So I'm going to do that, 2 coats. Then I'm going to mix gloss and matte 50-50, and add the crosslinker to that as well. And then I'm going to do 3 coats of the final finish. So that should give us like a really strong, durable finish that will just last for years and years and years. Or in other words, you know, the same kind of quality of finish you'd get from factory, which is what we're going for. So yeah, let's get on with it. Sealer coat's done. Seat's looking super shiny, that's expected. So now I will get 3 more coats on these and then we'll be done. Right, there we go. 5 coats of sealer applied. So I've just finished the 3rd coat of the sort of final finish, which is the satin. This is the driver's seat. Believe it or not, I think you'll agree that looks a lot better than it did. So yeah, just show you all the areas that we worked on. It's not too bad at all, is it? And the passenger seat, just minimal stuff on this one anyway. Yeah. So there you go. So that is how to fully restore your seats. I think you can agree. The results are pretty good. I'm really impressed with the Furniture Clinic stuff. So now you're probably thinking, put the seats back into my car and did a bunch of other stuff and then that's it. But the 996 seats are not going back into my car. The only reason I restored them was to show you guys how you can do it, because this is the thing. I actually found the whole process, I mean, it is reasonably time consuming. Like if you've, like I say, if you've got all the gear to do it and you've got the space to do it, it's really not that hard. The reason I knew that it would be straightforward is because I had literally just gone through the exact same process on another pair of seats, an alternative pair of seats that I have fitted to my car, details of which will be covered in episode 3 of this little mini series, so you shall have to wait for that one. But for now, that's it for this video. Episode 2 is coming up, and that is focused on the in-car entertainment and the center console, so look out for that one. And then the finale, episode 3, I'll show you my seats and just everything all together and the effect it's had on the interior of the car. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for your support so far. If you're enjoying this, series, please drop a like. It makes all the difference. Subscribe if you haven't already. But for now, yeah, thank you. I'll see you for the next one.